The chamber was too cold. Ambassador Ji-won Park had mentioned this before, years ago when she first arrived at the Galactic Council headquarters. The temperature suited the reptilian Vextar and the insectoid Thulmir, but it made humans uncomfortable. The council had promised to adjust it. They never did. It was a small thing, a petty thing, but it told Ji-won everything she needed to know about how the council viewed humanity. She sat in the human delegation chair, the same chair she had occupied for 12 years. Around her, the massive circular chamber rose up in tiers, filled with representatives from 400 species. Most ignored her. Some watched her with barely concealed contempt. The council had called this emergency session, and Ji-won knew exactly what was coming. Councillor Vexitar stood at the central podium, his scales gleaming under the chamber lights. He was speaking in that slow, careful way he always used when addressing humans, as if explaining something to a child. "The human question has troubled this council for too long," Vextar said, his tongue flicked out between words. Humanity expanded into 17 new systems last year alone. 17. They build warships at alarming rates. They refuse to share military technology. They establish colonies without proper council approval. Ji-won kept her face neutral. Every word Vextar spoke was technically true. Every word was also missing important context. Humans expanded because the council kept denying their colonization requests for systems no one else wanted. Humans built warships because the council made it clear humanity would have to defend itself. Humans refused to share military technology because every time they shared anything, the council locked it behind regulations that only applied to humans. "We have prepared a new treaty," High Chancellor Thulmir announced, his mandibles clicking together. "The Human Oversight Accord. It will bring humanity fully into the galactic community under proper supervision." A holographic document appeared above the podium. Ji-won had already seen it through back channels. She had read every word, every clause, every carefully crafted restriction. The treaty would place all human colony worlds under council inspection teams. It would limit human military production to 50 ships per year. It would require humans to share all technological advances with the council within 30 days of development. It would establish council governors on every human world with populations over 1 million. In exchange, humanity would receive full council membership and protection under council law. Empty words. The council had been promising full membership for 3 decades while treating humans like dangerous animals who needed to be controlled. Ji-won thought about Dr. Yuna Choi's research. Yuna had spent years studying why the council feared humanity. The answer was simple and terrifying to the other species. Earth was a death world. The gravity was crushing. The radiation was intense. The weather was violent. The predators were everywhere. The diseases were nightmares. Humanity evolved by surviving conditions that would kill most galactic species within hours. Humans were stronger. Humans were faster. Humans healed from injuries that would be fatal to others. Humans could eat things that were poisonous to most species. Humans could survive in environments that required other species to wear protective suits. The council looked at humanity and saw monsters wearing friendly faces. So they wrote treaties. They imposed restrictions. They demanded oversight. They did everything they could to keep humanity weak and contained, all while claiming it was for humanity's own good. "Ambassador Park," Vextar said, his voice dripping with false courtesy, "does humanity accept the terms of the Human Oversight Accord?" Every eye in the chamber turned to Ji-won. She had known this moment would come. She had prepared for it. More importantly, President Haeun Kim and Admiral Minho Kang had prepared for it. Commander Somin Han had prepared for it. Captain Daehan Lee had prepared for it. Humanity had been preparing for this moment for 10 years. Ji-won stood slowly. The chamber went silent. She looked around at the tiers of alien faces, at the species who had spent decades treating humanity like a problem to be solved, rather than equals to be respected. "No," she said simply. Vextar's scales rippled with what might have been confusion. "I do not think you understand the question, Ambassador. This is not a negotiation. The Council has voted. We are offering humanity a chance to—" "I understand perfectly," Ji-won interrupted. Her voice was calm but carried through the chamber. "The answer is no. Humanity rejects this treaty. Humanity rejects all future treaties presented under these conditions. Humanity is done with this Council's version of diplomacy." The chamber erupted. Species shouted in dozens of languages. Translators struggled to keep up. High Chancellor Thulmir's mandibles clacked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. "You cannot refuse," Thulmir said. "The Council has authority over all member species and all species seeking membership. You will sign, or humanity will face severe consequences." Jiwan smiled. It was not a warm smile. "Consequences? You mean like the trade restrictions you put on human goods 3 years ago? Or the blockade you attempted on New Busan? Or the weapons inspection teams you sent to our colonies without permission? We have lived with your consequences for decades. We are done pretending they frighten us." She gathered her datapad and turned toward the exit. Her footsteps echoed in the suddenly quiet chamber. "If you leave this chamber, you leave the Council," Vextar called after her. "Humanity will stand alone. No allies, no trade partners, no protection." Jiwan stopped at the doorway. She looked back over her shoulder. "Counselor, we have always stood alone. You made sure of that. The only difference now is we are done pretending otherwise." She walked out. The massive doors closed behind her with a deep boom that sounded like thunder. Behind her, chaos erupted in the Council chamber, but Jiwan did not hear it. She was already on her communicator, connecting to Earth. President Hyun Kim's face appeared on the small screen. "Well, it's done," Jiwan said. "I rejected the treaty and walked out." The president nodded. "Good, how did they react?" "Exactly as expected. Threats, bluster, confusion. They honestly believed we would never say no." "They have never understood us," President Kim said. Her face was tired but determined. "They see our strength and call it aggression. They see our refusal to submit and call it arrogance. They have spent so long viewing us as problems that they forgot we might simply choose to leave." "What now?" Jiwan asked. "Now we show the galaxy what humanity looks like when we stop apologizing for existing." President Kim glanced at something off-screen. "I am about to address all human colonies. Admiral Kang is moving the fleet to defensive positions. Commander Han is activating all contingency protocols. Captain Lee is preparing special operations teams. We have been ready for this day for a long time." Jiwan felt a weight lift from her shoulders. 12 years of careful words, diplomatic dances, and swallowed pride. 12 years of representing humanity to species who saw them as dangerous primitives who needed to be controlled. It was done. She was done. "I will arrange transport home," she said. "No need," President Kim replied. "The Independence is already on its way to pick you up. You will be home in 3 days. The Independence, humanity's newest and most advanced ship. Sending it to retrieve their ambassador was a statement. Humanity was not slinking away in shame. Humanity was leaving with heads held high. "I will be waiting," Jiwan said. The communication ended. She stood in the empty corridor outside the Council chamber and felt something she had not felt in years. Freedom. They had tried everything to control humanity. They had failed. Now they would learn what humans were truly capable of when they stopped playing by someone else's rules. Back on Earth, President Hyun Kim appeared on screens across every human world. Her message was simple. Today humanity said no. We are done negotiating away our freedom. We are done justifying our existence. We are done bowing to those who see us as threats rather than equals. They wanted to control us. We choose to control ourselves. They wanted to limit us. We choose our own limits. They wanted us to be grateful for scraps. We choose to build our own feast. To every human in the galaxy, stand tall. We bow to no one. We answer to no one. We are done explaining ourselves. We are free. Across 400 human worlds, people watched their president speak, and then they celebrated. They had been waiting for this moment too. The galaxy was about to learn something important about humanity. They were most dangerous when they stopped pretending to be harmless. High Chancellor Thulmir's office overlooked the Council Plaza, where representatives from across the galaxy conducted the business of civilization. He stood at the window, mandibles clicking in a rhythm that indicated deep thought. Behind him, the emergency council session had just concluded. The vote was unanimous. Humanity would face consequences for their defiance. They will break within a month, Councillor Vextar said. He lounged in a chair designed for his reptilian physiology. Humans are aggressive, yes, but they are not stupid. They need galactic trade. They need council protection. They need access to hyperspace routes. Once they feel the pressure of true isolation, they will come crawling back. Thulmir was not so certain. He had studied humans more carefully than most council members. They were not like other species. They did not think like other species. But the vote was cast and the council had to appear unified. Implement the sanctions, Thulmir ordered. Close all council borders to human ships. Freeze human assets in council banks. Terminate all trade agreements. Send the message clearly. Defiance has costs. The orders went out immediately. Across council space, barriers went up. Human merchant ships were turned away from stations. Human businesses found their accounts locked. Human diplomats were expelled. Species loyal to the council stopped all contact with human worlds. The isolation was total and immediate. Vextar smiled. Within a week we will receive their surrender. He was very wrong. Commander Soman Han sat in the military command center deep beneath Sol, Earth. Around her, dozens of screens showed data from across human space. She watched the council sanctions take effect with a smile that would have worried anyone who knew her well. They did it, she said to Admiral Minho Kang, who stood beside her. Every sanction we predicted, every move we planned for, they are playing exactly according to pattern. Admiral Kang nodded. He was a tall man with gray hair and eyes that had seen too many battles. Did you have doubts they would? No. The Council has used the same tactics for 200 years. Threaten, isolate, wait for surrender. It works on species who have no choice. Someone pulled up a new screen. But we built our choice. Activate protocol independence. Across human space, messages went out. Within hours, the response was visible. Commander Han watched it unfold with satisfaction. Trade routes that officially did not exist suddenly became very busy. Human merchants who were supposedly locked out of galactic markets simply changed destinations. They flew to independent worlds, to species outside Council control, to stations in unclaimed space. The Council had closed their borders. The galaxy was bigger than the Council's borders. Admiral Kang pulled up resource reports. Food production is at 130% of needs. Fuel reserves will last 7 years at current consumption. Industrial output is climbing. Medical supplies are abundant. We are not just surviving the sanctions. We are thriving despite them. We had 10 years to prepare, Sumin said. 10 years of building hidden partnerships. 10 years of stockpiling resources. 10 years of making sure every human colony could stand alone if needed. The Council thought we were desperate for their approval. We were actually preparing for their betrayal. Captain Daehan Lee entered the command center. He was younger than the Admiral, with the hard eyes of someone who spent more time in combat zones than conference rooms. Special Forces teams are ready. All defensive positions are manned. Colony militias have been activated. If the Council escalates to military action, we can hold every system. They will escalate, Admiral Kang said with certainty. Sanctions are failing. They will try force next. Let them try, Daehan replied. My teams have been training for this scenario for years. Council forces train for fleet battles and parade formations. We train for real combat. There is a difference. Soman pulled up another screen showing messages from non-Council species. Look at this. We are receiving trade offers from 40 different species, mining rights agreements, technology exchanges, defense pacts, all from species who are tired of Council dominance but were afraid to act. We just showed them it is possible to say no. Admiral Kang read through the offers. Accept the ones that benefit us. Reject the ones that smell like traps. We are building something new here. Not isolation, independence. On human colonies across the galaxy, the mood was not panic. It was celebration. New Busan, the largest human colony outside Earth, held a festival. People burned Council flags in the streets, not from hate but from joy. Freedom felt good. In the markets of New Sejong, merchants who had been restricted by Council trade regulations now sold to whoever wanted to buy. Business boomed. The Council had convinced everyone that human goods needed their seal of approval. The independent worlds learned quickly that human goods sold just fine without Council permission. Dr. Yuna Choi worked in her laboratory on Earth, preparing the research that would change everything. She had spent years studying why the Council feared humanity. Now she would share that knowledge with the galaxy. Let everyone know the truth. Humans were not monsters. Humans were simply from a world that made them stronger, faster, and more resilient than species who evolved in gentler environments. Her research showed the numbers clearly. Earth gravity was 3 times galactic standard. Earth radiation levels would require most species to wear protective gear. Earth had weather patterns that killed. Earth had predators that hunted in packs with intelligence and strategy. Earth had diseases that evolved alongside humanity, creating immune systems that could fight off almost anything. Humans were not aggressive. Humans simply came from a world where everything was aggressive. They learned to survive. They learned to adapt. They learned to overcome. The Council looked at humanity's strength and saw a threat. Yuna's research proved it was simply evolution in action. Ready to publish? Her assistant asked. Yuna saved the final document. Yes, send it everywhere. Council space, independent worlds, restricted networks, public forums. I want every species in the galaxy to read this. I want them to understand what Death World evolution actually means. The Council will try to suppress it. They can try, Yuna said. But information wants to be free. And once people know the truth, they will start asking why the Council has been lying about the human threat for so long. Back at Council headquarters, Thulmir received the first reports with disbelief. The sanctions were not working. Human ships were still trading, just not with Council worlds. Human colonies were not starving. They were celebrating. Human military forces were not retreating. They were expanding defensive positions. How is this possible? He demanded. His intelligence chief, a spider-like being named Kickstar, presented the data with 8 legs trembling. High Chancellor, it appears humans have been preparing for this scenario for many years. They established secret trade agreements with non-Council species. They built massive resource stockpiles. They developed self-sufficient infrastructure on every colony. They were ready for us to do exactly what we did. Vextar slammed a clawed hand on the table. This is impossible. No species can survive without Council trade networks. Most species cannot, Kickstar said carefully. But humans are not most species. They built alternatives to everything the Council provides. They do not need us. They never needed us. We needed them. Explain, Thulmir ordered. Kickstar pulled up economic data. Human trade represented 17% of total Council economic activity. Human manufactured goods were in every market. Human agricultural products fed 12 Council species whose worlds cannot support full food production. Human medical advances were licensed across 200 worlds. Human technology was integrated into 40% of Council infrastructure. We did not see it because we were too busy trying to control them. But the truth is they were supporting us. And now they're gone. The room fell silent. The reality settled over the Council leadership like a weight. They had not been protecting the galaxy from humanity. They had been exploiting humanity while convincing everyone it was the other way around. What do we do? Vextar asked. For the first time he sounded uncertain. Thulmir's mandibles clicked rapidly. We escalate. We show humanity that defiance has real costs. Order the fleet to begin military exercises near human space. Let them see our power. Let them understand what they face if they continue this foolishness. The orders went out. Council warships began gathering near human territories. Hundreds of ships representing dozens of species, all united under Council command. It was meant to be a show of force. It was meant to make humanity reconsider. Admiral Kang watched the Council fleet movements from his command center. He watched their formations, their weapons tests, their communications patterns. He smiled. They are preparing to intimidate us, he said to Commander Han. Will it work? She asked, though she already knew the answer. No, the Admiral replied. They trained for ship-to-ship combat in open space. We trained for asymmetric warfare in defended space. They have more ships. We have better tactics. They have superior numbers. We have superior motivation. They are fighting to maintain control. We are fighting to stay free. There is no comparison. He opened a channel to all human military forces. One message. 6 words, cross the line, find out. The Council was about to learn something very important about Death World species. 3 months had passed since humanity rejected the Council's authority. The galaxy was changing in ways no one had predicted. Council economic reports showed declining trade revenues. Supply chains that relied on human goods were breaking down. Species that had become dependent on human medical technology were facing shortages. The sanctions that were supposed to hurt humanity were actually hurting the Council. In the Council chambers, tempers ran hot. Thulmir listened to complaint after complaint from member species whose economies were suffering. They wanted the human trade back. They wanted human goods in their markets. They wanted this situation resolved. Enough, Vextar hissed. We do not negotiate with defiant children. We show them the consequences of their choices. Our fleet has been conducting exercises near human space for weeks. It is time to push harder. Kickstar, the intelligence chief, shifted nervously on his 8 legs. Counselor, I must advise caution. Our intelligence shows that human military forces are far more prepared than we estimated. They have 60 capital ships, Vextar said dismissively. We have 2,000. The numbers speak clearly. The numbers do not tell the full story, Kickstar insisted. Human ships are smaller, yes, but they are faster, more maneuverable, and equipped with weapons we do not fully understand. Their defensive positions are fortified beyond standard military doctrine. Every colony is a fortress. Every station is a weapons platform. They have been preparing for this confrontation for a decade. Thulmir raised a hand for silence. Nevertheless, we cannot appear weak. Order the fleet to cross into human space near New Sejong. A simple reconnaissance mission. We need to probe their defenses and show them we are serious. Admiral Minho Kang received the alert as a council scout ship crossed the border into human territory. Just one ship, moving slowly, broadcasting that it was on a peaceful reconnaissance mission. It was a test. The council wanted to see how humans would respond. Do not destroy it, Admiral Kang ordered. Disable and capture. Let us send a different message. Captain Daehan Lee's Special Forces team was ready. They had been ready for months. When the Council scout ship crossed 20,000 kilometers into human space, it suddenly found itself surrounded by small, fast human interceptors. The interceptors did not fire weapons. They deployed specialized electronic warfare systems that had been designed specifically for this moment. The Council scout ship's systems went dark. Propulsion failed. Communications failed. Life support stayed active, but everything else shut down. The crew sat in darkness, confused and frightened, as human boarding craft attached to their hull. Daehan led the boarding team personally. They cut through the airlock with precision tools and entered the Council ship with weapons ready. The crew of 12 aliens sat at their stations, hands raised, utterly shocked at the speed of the operation. You are unharmed, Daehan said in perfect galactic standard language. You will remain unharmed. Your ship has been disabled but not destroyed. We will repair your systems and send you home with a message for your council. The council captain, a bird-like species with bright feathers, stared at Daehan. You are not going to kill us? Daehan looked genuinely confused by the question. Why would we kill you? You crossed a border. We defended it. You surrendered without resistance. There is no reason for killing. But the council says humans are violent, aggressive, dangerous. We are dangerous, Daehan agreed. When we need to be. Right now, we do not need to be. Your crew will be given food, water, and medical attention if required. In 6 hours, your ship will be repaired and you will be escorted back to council space. You will tell your superiors exactly what happened here. You will tell them that we could have destroyed you. We chose not to. But if they send warships instead of scouts, we will choose differently. The council crew was treated well. Human medics checked them for injuries. Human cooks prepared food compatible with their biology. Human technicians repaired their ship. And then they were sent home, unharmed, but deeply shaken. When they reported back to Thulmir, the High Chancellor listened with growing concern. They captured you in minutes, disabled your entire ship without destroying it, and then let you go? Yes, High Chancellor, the captain reported. They were efficient, professional, not brutal or cruel, but absolutely overwhelming. Our training never prepared us for how fast they moved, how strong they were, how coordinated their actions were. Sir, they are not like other species. Vextar dismissed the report with a wave. They got lucky. One ship means nothing. But the story spread. Council crews heard what happened. They started asking questions. If humans were really bloodthirsty, monsters, why did they let the scouts go? If humans were really aggressive, why did they show such restraint? Dr. Yuna Choi chose that exact moment to release her research. It went out simultaneously on every major network, every academic forum, every news service in the galaxy. The paper was titled, Death World Evolution, Understanding Humanity's Physical Advantages. The research was detailed but written in language any species could understand. It explained Earth's gravity, 3 times galactic standard, and how it made humans naturally stronger than most species. It detailed Earth's radiation environment and how it gave humans incredible cellular repair capabilities. It described Earth's predators, from pack-hunting wolves to ambush predators like big cats, and how humanity learned to outthink and outmaneuver them. It showed Earth's weather patterns, storms that could flatten cities, temperatures that ranged from deadly cold to deadly heat. It explained Earth's diseases, bacteria, and viruses that evolved alongside humanity, training human immune systems to fight off almost any pathogen. It documented Earth's geological activity, earthquakes and volcanoes that taught humans to build structures that could withstand massive forces. And then it asked the critical question that the Council never wanted anyone to ask. If humans evolved under these extreme conditions, is their physical capability really aggression, or is it simply adaptation? If humans survived by being strong, fast and resilient, are they dangerous by choice or dangerous by nature? And if they are dangerous by nature, is it fair to punish them for their own evolution? The paper went viral. It was downloaded billions of times in the first day. Scientists across the galaxy read it and confirmed the data. The Council tried to suppress it, but information does not respect borders. Independent species shared it. Client species shared it in secret. Even some Council species shared it among themselves. People started asking questions. If humans were really the threat the Council claimed, why had they never actually attacked anyone? Why had they spent decades trying to negotiate in good faith? Why had they only used force when defending their own territory? Why did they let Council scouts go free? Ambassador Ji-won Park, now back on Earth, watched the research spread across the galaxy with satisfaction. Yuna's work was doing exactly what they needed. It was making people think. It was making them question the Council's narrative. She recorded a message and sent it out on every channel she could access. It was simple and direct. The Galactic Council has spent 30 years telling you that humanity is dangerous. They were right. We are dangerous. Earth made us dangerous. But being dangerous is not the same as being aggressive. We have never attacked another species. We have never conquered territory that was not ours. We have never forced our government on unwilling populations. We asked for one thing: to be left alone to live our lives as we choose. The Council refused. They demanded we submit to their authority, follow their rules, accept their restrictions. We said no. That is our crime. We refuse to be controlled. Now ask yourselves, who is really the threat? The species that wants freedom or the government that demands submission? The message reached billions. On Council worlds, people discussed it. On independent worlds, people celebrated it. On client, species worlds, people began to wonder if they too could say no. Councillor Vextar watched his political power crumble. His own government was facing protests. Citizens were demanding answers. Why were they fighting humans who just wanted to be free? Why were they suffering economically to maintain Council? Pride? Why were they following a government that seemed more interested in control than cooperation? High Chancellor Thulmir faced similar pressures. The Council was fracturing. Species were questioning their membership. Trade was collapsing. The military exercises near human space were supposed to show strength. Instead, they showed hesitation. The fleet sat at the border, unwilling to cross after seeing what happened to the scouts. We have to act, Vextar insisted during an emergency council meeting. If we show weakness now, the entire council structure will collapse. Other species will follow humanity's example. We will lose everything. What do you propose? Thulmir asked, though he feared he already knew the answer. Full military action. Send the fleet into human space. Occupy one of their colonies. Force them to surrender. Show the galaxy that defiance has real consequences. Thulmir's mandibles clicked slowly. Every instinct told him this was wrong. The intelligence was clear. Humans were not prepared for a fight. Humans were prepared for a war. But the alternative was watching the council fall apart. Very well. he said quietly. Order the fleet to New Sejong. Begin the occupation. The orders went out. The Council fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the New Sejong system. 200 warships representing the combined might of dozens of species. Fleet Commander Zaltok, a heavily armored crustacean species, surveyed his forces with satisfaction. This would be simple. Overwhelming force against a small human colony. They would surrender within hours. Broadcast the surrender demand, Zaltok ordered. The message went out on all frequencies. The Council demanded immediate surrender of New Sejong. All human military forces must stand down. All orbital defenses must be deactivated. The colony government must submit to Council authority. Failure to comply would result in military action. Admiral Minho Kang sat in the command center on New Sejong's largest moon. Around him, dozens of officers monitored screens showing every ship in the Council fleet. Commander Somin Han stood at his shoulder analyzing their formations. They are using standard Council battle doctrine, she said. Capital ships in the center, support vessels and defensive shells, scout ships on the flanks. By the book, predictable. Good, Admiral Kang replied. Predictable means we know exactly how they will move. Open a channel to all human forces. When the channel was active, his voice carried to every ship, every station, every defensive platform in the system. They came to our home expecting us to surrender. They came to our home expecting us to be afraid. They were wrong. We do not surrender. We do not retreat. We defend what is ours. Today we show the Council what it means to fight a death world species. Today we show the galaxy that humanity bows to no one. The Council fleet moved forward, confident and slow. They expected to see human ships fleeing. Instead they saw nothing. No ships appeared on their sensors. No defensive fleet moved to intercept them. The system seemed empty. Where are they? Zaltok demanded. Where are the human ships? Sensors show minimal activity, his tactical officer reported. A few orbital stations, some cargo vessels, no military vessels detected. They fled, Zaltok said with satisfaction. They saw our numbers and ran. Send boarding teams to the orbital stations. We will secure them and demand the colony's surrender. The Council ships moved deeper into the system. They passed the outer orbital markers. They approached New Sejong's moons. They moved into weapons range of the planet itself. And then everything changed. Commander Somin Han pressed a single button. Activate all defensive systems. Space lit up. What the Council thought were orbital stations suddenly revealed themselves as weapons platforms. What they thought were cargo vessels suddenly deployed military-grade weapons. What they thought were moons had military bases built into their surfaces. And from the asteroid belt beyond the planet, dozens of human ships emerged from hiding, their stealth systems deactivating. The Council fleet found itself surrounded. Not by a larger fleet, but by a network of interconnected defensive positions that turned the entire system into a kill zone. Fire, Admiral Kang ordered calmly. The human forces did not engage in a traditional fleet battle. They used tactics the Council had never seen. Small fast ships darted in, fired volleys of missiles, and retreated before the Council could respond. Weapons platforms hidden in asteroid fields launched long-range attacks and then went dark. Mines that had been floating dormant suddenly activated and locked onto Council ships. Electronic warfare systems jammed Council communications, turning their coordinated fleet into dozens of confused groups. Captain Daehan Lee led boarding teams in a completely different kind of warfare. His ships were tiny compared to Council vessels, but they were fast and maneuverable. They approached Council ships from unexpected angles, attached themselves to the hulls, and cut through into the enemy vessels. Daehan's team boarded a Council flagship. They moved through the corridors with speed and precision that terrified the crew. The aliens had never seen anything like it. Humans in combat armor, moving with perfect coordination, overwhelming defenders before they could react. The Council crew tried to fight back. They were trained soldiers, but they trained for simulations and exercises. Humans trained by growing up on a death world. The difference was vast. Daehan's team reached the bridge in 12 minutes. The Council captain sat in his command chair, weapon drawn but shaking. Daehan walked calmly through the smoke and debris. "Surrender your ship," Daehan said simply. "You are monsters," the captain gasped. "No," Daehan replied. "We are humans. You came to our home. You threatened our people. What did you expect?" Now surrender your ship or we will take it by force. The captain dropped his weapon. His crew followed. One council flagship captured in 15 minutes. Across the battlefield, the same story repeated. Council ships designed for open space combat could not handle the close quarters, chaotic fighting the humans employed. Their superior numbers meant nothing when they could not coordinate. Their larger ships became targets when the humans used hit-and-run tactics. Commander So-Min Han watched the battle unfold exactly as she had planned. They are breaking formation. The fleet is separating into smaller groups trying to defend themselves individually. That makes them easier to pick off. Admiral Kang nodded. How many ships have we destroyed? Only 6, So-Min replied. We have disabled 42. Captured 3. The rest are retreating or trying to regroup. Our casualties: 2 ships damaged, 0 destroyed. 16 wounded personnel, 0 dead. The battle lasted 6 hours. At the end, the council fleet was broken. 40 ships destroyed or captured. 80 ships heavily damaged. The rest retreating in disorder. Human losses were minimal. The defensive network held. The colony was safe. Fleet Commander Zaltok sat on his damaged flagship, staring at screens showing the disaster. 200 ships, the pride of the council military, defeated by a force a fraction of their size. How was it possible? They did not fight like any species we have faced, his tactical officer said quietly. They did not engage in traditional combat. They used the terrain. They used deception. They used speed. They turned our strengths into weaknesses. They trained for this, Zaltok said bitterly. While we were practicing parade formations and fleet maneuvers, they were preparing for real war. They knew we would come. They knew how we would fight. And they were ready. President Haeun Kim appeared on screens across the galaxy. Every news network, every communication channel, every public forum received her message. She spoke with calm authority. The Galactic Council sent 200 warships to our colony world of New Sejong. They came to force our surrender. They came to occupy our home. They came to prove that defiance has consequences. They were right about consequences. Just not the consequences they expected. We defended our home. We defended our people. We defended our freedom. The Council fleet has been defeated. Their ships are destroyed or retreating. We took 3 flagships intact. We captured over 600 Council military personnel. They are being treated with respect and will be returned unharmed. You see, we do not enjoy killing. We do not celebrate violence. But we will absolutely defend ourselves when attacked. The Council came to our home. We sent them away. If they come again, we will do the same. We are not seeking war. We never were. We seek only to be left alone. But if the Council forces war upon us, they will learn what every predator on Earth learned long ago. Humans are not prey. We are apex predators who evolved by outlasting every threat our deadly world threw at us. We do not start fights, but we finish them. The message hit the galaxy like an earthquake. The Council's mighty fleet defeated, not just defeated, humiliated, broken against the defenses of a single human colony. The species the Council claimed were dangerous primitives had just proven they were far more advanced in the ways that actually mattered in combat. On Council worlds, protests erupted. Citizens demanded answers. Why did we attack? Why did we lose? Why are we following leaders who started a war we cannot win? On independent worlds, celebrations began. Someone finally stood up to the Council. Someone finally showed that the Council's power was not absolute. If humans could win, maybe others could resist too. Client species watched the battle recordings with new eyes. They saw human tactics. They saw human technology. They saw what determination and preparation could achieve. Seeds of rebellion began to grow. Councillor Vextar's government collapsed within days. His own people removed him from power, blaming him for the military disaster. He fled into exile, his political career destroyed. High Chancellor Thulmir faced calls for his resignation. The Council was fracturing. Species were threatening to leave. Trade had collapsed. The military was demoralized. Everything he worked to build was crumbling. Admiral Kang stood on the surface of New Sejong looking up at the sky where the battle had been fought. Commander So-Min Han approached. The Council is requesting negotiations, she said. Now they want to talk, Admiral Kang replied. After they tried to invade us. After they tried to force our surrender. Now that they lost, suddenly diplomacy seems attractive again. Will we negotiate? That is for the President to decide, Admiral Kang said. but I suspect she will have some very specific terms. We did not ask for this war. They brought it to us. Now they have learned a lesson every species must learn eventually. You do not threaten a Death World species home. You do not attack people who evolved by surviving the unsurvivable. 6 months after the Battle of New Sejong, the galaxy looked very different. High Chancellor Thulmir sat in his office, no longer overlooking a busy council plaza. The plaza was half empty now. 30 species had withdrawn their council membership. 50 more were threatening to leave. The government that had ruled the galaxy for 2 centuries was dying. Thulmir's mandibles clicked slowly as he reviewed the economic reports. Council trade was down 60%. Military recruitment had collapsed. Member species were refusing to pay their dues. The organization was bankrupt in every way that mattered. There was a knock at his door. Ambassador Ji-won Park entered, the first time she had been in this building since she walked out of the council chamber half a year ago. Ambassador, Thulmir said quietly. Or should I say former ambassador? Just Ji-won is fine, she replied. She sat across from him, her posture relaxed but alert. You requested this meeting. I am here to listen. The council is finished, Thulmir said bluntly. You know it. I know it. Every species in the galaxy knows it. The question now is what comes next. Ji-won nodded. What comes next is up to you. Humanity did not want to destroy the council. We just wanted to be free of it. If the council falls, completely the chaos could hurt millions of innocent beings. So what do you propose? Dissolution, Ji-won said simply. End the Galactic Council as it exists. Return sovereignty to all species. And then, if they choose, allow them to form something new. Something voluntary. Something that respects freedom instead of demanding submission. Thulmir was quiet for a long time. And humanity's role in this new organization? We do not want a role, Ji-won replied. We do not want to lead. We do not want power. We just want to be left alone to live our lives. If species want to trade with us, wonderful. If they want to form mutual defense pacts, we will consider it. But we will never again join an organization that treats membership as ownership. Councillor Vextar said you would conquer us, Thulmir said. He said humanity would use their military victory to dominate the galaxy. Ji-won smiled sadly. Vextar never understood us. We do not want to dominate anyone. Earth taught us that survival requires strength, but it also taught us that cooperation is more powerful than domination. We could have destroyed your fleet at New Sejong. We disabled it instead. We could have killed the crews. We returned them unharmed. We could have invaded council space. We stayed on defense. Do you understand? We are not conquerors. We are defenders. There is a difference. Thulmir's mandibles moved in what might have been a smile. I am beginning to understand. It took 6 months and a humiliating defeat, but I am beginning to understand. Across the galaxy, Dr. Yuna Choi's research had become required reading at universities on hundreds of worlds. Young aliens studied Death World evolution. They learned about Earth's extreme conditions. They learned about humanity's adaptations. And they learned the most important lesson. Being different is not being dangerous. Yuna gave lectures now, traveling to different worlds, explaining her research in person. She stood in an auditorium on a council world, speaking to a mixed audience of dozens of species. Humans evolved under extreme conditions, she explained. This gave us physical advantages, strength, speed, resilience, but it also gave us something else, perspective. When you grow up on a world that is constantly trying to kill you, you learn important lessons. You learn that cooperation is essential for survival. You learn that diversity makes groups stronger. You learn that today's enemy might be tomorrow's ally when facing a bigger threat. Earth's harsh environment did not make us aggressive. It made us adaptable. It made us value life because we know how fragile it is. It made us respect strength because we had to develop it ourselves. A student raised a hand. But if humans are so adaptable and strong, why did you not conquer the galaxy? Because conquest requires wanting to control others, Yuna replied. Humans spent millions of years learning to survive. We are very good at it. But we also learned that forcing our will on others creates enemies, and enemies make survival harder. It is more efficient to find allies, more effective to build partnerships, more sustainable to allow freedom. The Council tried to control humanity. It failed. Not because we were stronger, but because control itself is unstable. Freedom is stable. Cooperation is stable. Mutual respect is stable. These are the lessons Earth taught us. The lecture ended with standing applause. Even former Council species were beginning to understand. Admiral Minho Kang stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching as a new defensive network was completed around Earth. Not to threaten anyone. To ensure no one could threaten Earth. Commander Soman Han reviewed the specifications. Every human system now has similar defenses, she reported. We can defend ourselves against any reasonable threat. But more importantly, we have started training programs with allied species. Allied species? Admiral Kang raised an eyebrow. 17 non-council species have requested military training from us, Somin explained. They want to learn human defensive tactics. They want to be able to protect themselves the way we protected New Sejong. Captain Dehan Lee has approved the programs. We share tactics, they share technology. Everyone benefits. Admiral Kang nodded slowly. The Council tried to restrict our military development because they feared what we could do with it. Now we are freely sharing our knowledge because we understand that strong allies make everyone safer. Captain Dehan Lee was on one of those training missions. He stood on a planet occupied by a species that looked like large bears. They had been a Council client species, forced to pay tribute and follow orders. After watching humanity's victory, they declared independence. Now they were learning to defend it. The key is not having the biggest ships, Dehan explained to their military commanders. The key is using terrain to your advantage, making the enemy fight on your terms, not theirs. Look at your world. Heavy gravity, thick atmosphere, dense forests. These are not weaknesses, these are advantages. Any invader will struggle with your environment. You grew up here. You are adapted to it. Use that. The bear-like aliens listened intently. One of their generals spoke. The Council told us we were too weak to defend ourselves. They said we needed their protection. They lied, Dehan said bluntly. You are not weak. You were controlled. There is a difference. Strength is not about having the biggest weapons. Strength is about knowing how to use what you have. Earth is not the strongest world in the galaxy by most measures, but humans know how to use everything we have. We can teach you to do the same. The training continued. Knowledge spread. Former Council client species began to stand on their own. President Hayan Kim sat in her office, reviewing requests from species wanting to establish formal relations with humanity. There were hundreds. Trade agreements, technology exchanges, mutual defense pacts, cultural exchange programs. The galaxy wanted to partner with humanity now that they understood what humanity actually was. Ambassador Ji-won Park entered with another stack of requests. You need to read these, she said. 40 species want to form a new galactic organization. They are asking humanity to help structure it. We do not want to lead a new council, President Kim said firmly. They do not want us to lead, Ji-won replied. They want us to help ensure the new organization does not become what the old council was. They want our input on protections for sovereignty, limits on central authority, rights of member species. They trust us because we do not want power. President Kim read through the proposals carefully. A voluntary organization, no mandatory membership, no ability to impose rules on members, focused on facilitating trade, sharing technology, and coordinating defense against external threats. Each species retains full sovereignty. It is everything the Council should have been, Ji-won said. Everything we tried to make them become. And if we say no? They will probably form it anyway, Ji-won admitted, but it might not have the protections it needs. It might slowly become another council. Our involvement, even limited involvement, could prevent that. President Kim was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded. Very well. We will participate, but only as advisors. We will help structure the organization. We will ensure it respects freedom, but we will not hold leadership positions. We will not make decisions for others. And if the organization ever tries to control rather than cooperate, we will leave again. Jiwan smiled. I will inform them. I think they will be very pleased. Months passed. The old Galactic Council officially dissolved. High Chancellor Thulmir resigned and retired to his homeworld. Councillor Vextar remained in exile, a cautionary tale about the dangers of arrogance. In their place, something new emerged. The Galactic Alliance. Not a government, not an authority, simply a forum for species to cooperate voluntarily. Every member retained full sovereignty. No species could impose rules on another. Decisions required unanimous consent. It was messy and inefficient and sometimes frustrating. It was also free. Ambassador Jiwan Park attended the first meeting of the Galactic Alliance. It was not held in a grand chamber designed to make some species feel small. It was held in a simple conference room where every representative sat at the same level. No hierarchy, no power structure. Just equals talking to equals. Representatives from 200 species attended.